This week on Waxing the Porpoise, time is on our side as G-Baby and the usual suspect Steve welcome special guest Hydraberg from A Cut Above Horror Review to discuss the decisively demonic yet surreptitiously spiritual Denzel vehicle from 1998, Fallen. Join us as we discuss shitty slow-mo Predator vision, wax nostalgic over Outback Steakhouse and their elusive bloomin' onion sauce, and treat ourselves to a Denzel Devotional for the ages. I wish you had more time. Let's wax this procedural porpoise.
Chase, don't do that.
You see, we working on his brow chakra. We're just in back in the crown chakra.
All right, I'm just going to go right into it. Lion face. Lemon face. All right, welcome to Waxing the Porpoise. Tonight we are here to discuss episode 34 now, which is Fallen, a Denzel joint from 1998. This one came recommended, and it's one you had not seen before, Steve?
Correct.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I wanted to get that out of the way, but so tonight we have a special guest joining us, but first we'll get to myself, Jim G-Baby.
G-Funk.
And as always, we have our co-host, the usual suspect, Steve.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
You're a dumbass.
How's it going, man?
Good. I thought it would be funny if I accidentally watched, there's a 2016 movie called Fallen about a young girl who finds herself in a reform school after therapy since she was blamed for the death of a young boy at the school. She finds herself drawn to a fellow student, unaware that he is an angel and has loved her for thousands of years. Maybe we'll watch that in the future.
Although that's funny that it's also dealing with there's like an angel through line.
It looks so bad.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't watch that. Although that could have taken a strange direction too. Who knows? Cool. All right, and then tonight also we have a special guest, one that's long overdue. Tonight joining us we have Hydraberg.
Hail Hydra.
Oh, thank you.
What?
I get my own bump.
Yeah, what was that?
That's
I've
from
arrived.
Endgame, Avengers Endgame.
It's
Oh.
Hail Hydra is the moniker that they use for Hydra. That's how it's like Seek Hail almost. They're supposed to be like almost like
okay.
Nazis, which I am not affiliated with, by the way.
Sure.
Just to be clear.
Let's
I
get
didn't
that out of
watch
the
a
way.
movie. I thought we were reviewing Fallen by Alicia Keys, the song. I just listened to that on loop. So I'm a little confused.
You just listen to that for 2 hours.
Yeah. I just keep on falling in love.
In and out.
In out of love.
Dude, that is a bang.
No, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah. Just real quick too, Hydra comes to us by way of, well, I know him from we're fellow fans of the Straight Chilling community. I've palled around with him on their Slack for many years now, like 5 or 6 years now. And then he also has his own podcast, which I've also been fortunate enough to guest host on a couple episodes as well. A Cut Above Horror Review with fellow friends of the show, Jacqueline and John. So they do, as the name implies, strictly horror reviews. And they're, what are you guys at? Like 72, 73 episodes?
74
now?
we're going to be recording tomorrow. I mean, I'm sorry, Monday.
Word.
We're
Nice.
going to be doing Blood Rage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Word. Yeah, they have a great show. Check them out. They were gracious enough to have me on a couple times, and what kind of really kickstarted me into starting this thing and giving me the spark to do my own thing. So, yeah, they do a great job. Check them out. They're anywhere you get your podcast. Sorry, I'm stepping all over your your promo. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, yeah, we're a horror podcast. We review all things horror. At the moment, it's just movies, but each week we pick a different film. We take turns and we rate and review it. We have guests on. We had you on for I believe one of Steve's favorite films, It Follows. I believe.
Oh God, that's right. What was the general consensus? Because I couldn't bring myself to listen to the episode.
Oh, we all just loved it.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually how I got into straight chilling. So I
Yeah,
understand. I understand people's critiques of the movie. I trust me. I've butted heads with people before on why they don't like it, but for me, I don't know. It's a darling.
Yeah. I mean, I have my problems with it too, for sure.
Yeah,
Especially
sure.
like pretty much the whole third act.
Yeah,
But there's something about it. It's like one of those films for me where like the overriding vibe and just everything wrapped up together makes me see past that. Like,
yep.
it's just one of those, just like we all have our guilty vices, but I definitely don't think that it gets like, it's weird because it has like critical acclaim, but then it seems pretty divisive on like an audience, like a level.
Yeah, it's a lot like Street Fighter the movie, right, Steve?
Well, yeah. Once again, I'm not one to take any position of like movie knowledge superiority, so I can't really harshly judge anybody's opinion of anything, really. So, but yeah, Street Fighter's a great movie.
Final answer. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, we're glad to have Hydra on, and thank you very much for making the time. I know I'm running a little bit behind this evening, so I guess we're coming right off the heels of Thanksgiving. Just wanted you guys had a good Thanksgiving, I trust.
Yep.
Mine was fine. I won't bore you.
Sweet.
Same answer
Yeah.
here.
Same. Mine was pretty ho-hum this year. Not in a bad way, but I could have done better on the bird probably. But
How'd you cook
I
it?
did make some wine just in the oven.
Okay.
I did make some wine gravy though. That
How'd
was
that
my
come out?
grandpa's old recipe. Pretty damn good. I was nothing special. Just a little bit of wine and beef stock, a little flour, thicken it up a little bit. If Steve knows I'm an Outback fan, but fellow purveyors of Outback Steakhouse may have had the good fortune to get the Cabernet sauce, their house Cabernet sauce that they make with red wine, like dark red wine. It's fucking delicious. It's like a savory, like beef base wine, obviously wine. I don't know. It's just got a little bit more bite than like regular ass gravy. So
I don't know if I've ever had their gravy, and I'm a fan of Outback.
Dude.
Throw another shrimp on the bobby, eh?
No rules, just right, man.
There's nothing wrong with a nice bloomin' onion,
Dude,
to wreck your evening.
Oh, yeah.
It always sounds so good, and then
Yeah.
you get to the end of the meal, it's like, fuck, dude, that bloomin' onion's gonna do me in. It's that sauce is what gets me.
Yeah.
It's like keeps you reaching,
It's so
like,
good.
And they never give you enough of it either. They give you that little ass cup and this whole huge fucking onion. You're like, dude, come on.
I've been having a mind to try my hand at it at home. There's
Making
a couple. Yeah, there's a couple copycats on there, but
Yeah, it's basically like an onion ring sauce, sort of, that you get.
my track record with like copycat recipes has not been very solid.
No, you're a pioneer. I mean, you make the tornado or whatever it was. What was it? Torito?
Torito. I just shared. I don't know if I shared that with you, Steve. I just did a. I talked last episode about the fucking
Alfredorito.
Yeah, the Alfredorito, chicken Alfredo burrito. So
Oh God,
obviously,
what now?
coming off of that, leftovers of Thanksgiving, I did.
Okay.
I did 2 tortillas. I did a base of mashed potatoes.
Okay.
Green bean casserole. Get the
That
greens
crunch.
in there. Dark meat turkey only.
Oh.
Some pan drippings. Little bit of that wine gravy I talked about, and some more of that black Yucateco that I'm just like fucking putting on everything right now. That smoky habanero. Yeah, dude, delicious.
And
Yeah,
you put it
sounds
in
good.
what the best delivery service,
It's
delivery device? You said for food.
the best food delivery system known to
Yeah,
man.
When
the
you say
Just
burrito.
wrap it.
when you say 2 tortillas, did you do the thing where you put them side by side to make like an extra long burrito, or are we just going too thick, regular
No, I
circumference?
just meant I had two of them. I did single flour.
Gotcha. Okay,
Oh
never mind.
yeah, I
I
took it like you,
misunderstood.
Steve. Where he was making like the supreme burrito.
Oh yeah,
No,
that's an advanced maneuver. Maybe next time.
It's like taking
I
two
sh-
rolling papers and licking them and
yeah,
sticking them
exactly.
together and rolling the
Yeah.
long doobie.
I get up to making like a fucking windmill burrito. Uh, yeah, I always do like what I've been doing is putting like the lazy like steam for a tortilla is like you put a damp paper towel in between the two tortillas, throw it in the mic, like just nuke it for like 15 seconds. You get a little
Yeah, it helps it
steamy.
so they don't crack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get good rappage.
Mhm.
Anyway, sorry. I was pretty proud of that too. It was bomb. It was
Yeah.
delicious. So
Sounds good.
I'm gonna continue putting non-Mexican foods inside flour tortillas and just seeing what wins out.
Just a big old
So,
slice of lasagna is next.
Yeah,
dude, I'd be down. That sounds great. Um, okay, cool. So yeah, we're here to discuss Fallen. Another
Can I
Denzel.
can I interject something real quick
Yes.
before we get going here? I wrote down a word and or phrase that I think Gwenza is not going to be able to get through this episode without saying. And I've done this a few times, and I'm for every time. But I think this time is going to be the winner. And since we have a guest, I thought it'd be cool to share it with him as well, so he can keep an ear open for it. So, Jim, if you could avert your eyes for a moment, I'll show it to
Oh,
him.
you wrote it down.
I wrote it down. Yeah. All right. Now, can you read this word
oh,
or phrase?
okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Let the
Yeah.
viewers know that Hydraberg has seen said
I
word.
will. I will
Or
bet my
phrase.
ass that Jim cannot resist saying this. And if he manages, well then I'm the
Jim, you're good.
asshole.
You don't have to keep closing your eyes.
Yeah.
I'm done.
And
Okay.
and maybe I'll even share a funny story about a time that I was very embarrassed that came to me that I remembered recently just for fun for being an asshole. So okay, with that being said, let's let's get right into it.
Cool. I'm curious now. All right. So yeah, Fallen from 1998. This is a Denzel Washington film, who we're all big fans of. So this one I had seen when I was a lot younger, probably pretty close to after it came out on VHS. Um, I didn't feel it like one way or another about it at the time, but as I've gotten older, I've revisited it a handful of times over the years, and this is one I like a lot. It's definitely it scratches like the kind of procedural with a like a supernatural bent into it that I dig. But yeah, I'm a fan of this movie just in general. It's not gonna blow your fucking socks off or anything, but I think anything Denzel's in, he gives a super strong performance, and that usually carries the film. And you got John Goodman in it for good measure. I think
Oh yeah.
he wasn't overplayed, and I guess you could argue underplayed slightly, but I like how they utilized him. Okay,
Actually,
but go ahead.
no. I think a lot of the actors are underplayed a little bit in this film. Like going back, I do like this film, but having watched it again with a critical eye, I noticed that like I don't know, like Donald Sutherland's in it. He's a phenomenal actor. He's just not that great in this though. Like
No, yeah, I'm glad you said that because I
maybe
was
it's
going
the
to mention that
writing.
later.
I thought
Like,
James Gandolfini shines pretty well as just like anytime he's on screen, I kind of like seeing his character.
yeah, he's decent. I'm not super high on Gandolfini in this. I'm not a big Gandolfini fan in general, so that probably colors that. But I mean, he's serviceable.
Yeah,
But yeah, Donald Sutherland definitely stuck out. I was like, I don't know if it's his accent. He's like
yeah.
trying for a Philly accent, kind of, and it's not coming through. But I think probably the culprit, because he's so good in a lot of other stuff, I think the culprit probably is the writing and just
I
like
think it is.
it wasn't. It's not. He's not the star. He plays like, and he's not even the chief. He's like the lieutenant.
Well,
So he's kind of.
I didn't believe his lack of belief in Denzel. Like his character's like super skeptical of him pretty much from the beginning. It's like I don't think he would be. He would probably know his guy and be like, "There's no fucking way this is going on." And
Yeah, Denzel's been there, what, like 12 years?
yeah, I also didn't really care for his performance in this. Trivia: Donald Sutherland, dead or alive? Jim, go.
Wait, dead or alive? Is he dead or alive? He's
Yeah.
dead. Yeah. Yeah, he
Hydra?
passed away a few years ago. Did I spoil it? Are we
I
playing?
Yeah, I'm going to
playing
go with
game?
dead also. Or he's a pod person. I don't know.
He's very much still alive at
What?
the young age of 80,000 or 80.
Oh, he just probably looks like the Crypt Keeper by now.
Yeah.
Because I remember he had a cameo in Beer Fest, and that was like
You-
2008, and he was looking rough.
You even remembered him dying, and he's still alive.
That's how good of an actor he is.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought
he died 2017.
I thought he was dead for sure.
Even Denzel, I thought, was a little like lacking in a sense. Like I like Denzel, and this is early Denzel, so I feel like I like him now that he's gotten older. Like he's gotten more grizzled as an older guy, and there's more wisdom. Like behind when he delivers a line, it's just more like matter of fact. I feel like, whereas as a younger actor, it seems like he was a little bit still unsure of himself. A little bit, like he was still a good actor, but I think it's part of the writing too on this. The writing's a little. I don't know. I mean, I like this movie, but I definitely feel like the writing is off a little bit, or maybe it's the directing, like I don't know, the way they're told to give their lines.
Yeah, I don't know. I slightly disagree, I would say, on Denzel, but I will at the same time agree that similar to Donald Sutherland, I don't think he was given enough.
Yeah,
Like in the writing, like he wasn't given enough material to shine. But I mean, I was fine with his performance. I think that's just a part of the story of the film.
yeah.
Because
like
before this, he was in like fucking what was it, Glory? He was, and I think even Remember the Titans came out just before.
Was this before he got game?
I think this is right around that time. I think it was because that was like 99. I think he followed this up with He Got Game.
I forgot how old this movie really is too. Like I was like for some reason I thought it was like early 2000s, and then I was like, oh shit, this was 98. Like you're right. Like when you mentioned watching it on VHS, I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. Like I was probably watching it on VHS when I first saw it too.
Yeah, I remembered renting this from Blockbuster for sure.
Yeah, what a difference.
Actually, too, Remember the Titans was after this. That was like 2001 or 2000. But anyway, he went on kind of like a hit parade from like 96 to like 2005. Not all hits, but you had like Man on Fire, John Q.
I like Man on Fire.
Man on Fire is dope.
Yeah.
I wish you had more time.
Courage Under Fire. Jim's a big Courage Under Fire guy.
Courage Under Fire is a good flick.
I've never seen it. Or Man on Fire, or He Got Game, or Remember the Titans, or
oh god!
I think we
I'm about to have
the
like an
other
aneurysm.
Oh yeah, I want to see the many stages of Jim's face when he finds out that he doesn't know certain film.
Yeah,
that one just kind of knocked the wind out of me.
Jim, I got one for you. I've never seen Remember the Titans.
What?
Very forgettable. Dude. Very forgettable.
I'm just not the biggest sports movie guy. Like
you just said, you never. Didn't you just say you'd never seen Remember the Titans? Or
yeah, I think no, I haven't seen it. I think it was from an old SNL thing where they were making fun of him, and
I've seen scenes of it.
They're like, "Remember the Titans," and they're like, "Very forgettable, very forgettable."
No, it's excellent, dude. It's a great film. Him and Will Patton is fucking top notch in that film as well.
I seen Rudy. I don't need to see Remember the Titans. You know what I'm saying?
I like Rudy a lot. I'm a big Notre Dame guy, so I love Rudy, but I feel like Remember the Titans edges it out. So for whatever that's worth.
Interesting football movie connection to this movie. The kid who plays Sam, the young kid, the nephew, later goes on to play a part in that movie Gridiron Gang with The Rock, which I actually like that movie.
I have not seen that yet.
Yeah.
Still,
I think it's good. I was surprised. I don't remember why I watched it, but it was like incidental, and by the end of it, I was into it. It's pretty good.
I think I discounted that because fucking Exhibit was in it, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go down that.
X is going to give it to you, and he gave it to him.
Let's see it, Maxwell.
Dude, that's funny that you've seen that movie and you liked it. It reminds me like because I know you're not a big football guy, Steve, so you wouldn't go out of your way to watch like seminal football films. But my wife actually is the same way. She hates football, hasn't seen any other movies. She has seen Varsity Blues, but one of her favorite movies, and she won't admit it, but it's one of her favorite fucking movies, is The Longest Yard, the remake with Adam Sandler and fucking Terry Crews and all those fuckers. It's such a weird...
I wouldn't even consider that a football movie, though. It's kind of just like a Sandler...
Yeah, it's pretty heavy on football action, though. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I'd say there's the same amount of like football going on as like Varsity Blues. So,
what about The Waterboy? Is The Waterboy a football movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say yeah.
Okay, just curious
some
where
high quality H2O.
Yeah, like Happy Gilmore is essentially a golf movie too, but it can be enjoyed by non-golf fans.
That's true.
At the end of the day, they're all Adam Sandler movies.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the overriding factor, is that like they're just Sandler vehicles.
Yeah.
Does Exhibit pimp anybody's ride in Gridiron Gang? I'm just curious.
He doesn't, but you know what? He pimps their attitude.
Oh, sweet. So he put the TVs on them or something?
Because these kids come from the street, and they need to learn to work as a team. And, lessons are learned, and character is built. So
I feel it. As any inspirational sports movie will do. That's what.
Yeah.
I need to watch it now. Gridiron Gang, because I was part of. I don't know if it was an official bet, but it was. I think it was agreed upon. If I watch that, then you would watch North Dallas 40, because you brought up North Dallas 40. Have you seen that one, Nick? Or Hydra?
No, is that a porno or something?
No, North Dallas 40s. It's basically like Varsity Blues in the 70s, starring Nick Nolte. He plays like a wide receiver.
It was a crossover between Peter North and Dallas from
Debbie Does Dallas.
Yeah.
I was in the wrong section of Blockbuster.
the red curtain.
Yeah, the red curtain with the tassels on it.
Is that the one about the guy who has AIDS? Oh, no, that's Dallas Buyers Club. Never mind.
Yes.
Dude, how can you let yourself fucking get that frail, dude? McConaughey looked like a fucking skeleton, dude.
He's a good actor, man.
Yeah. I haven't seen that flick either, but I saw how fucking frail he got for it. Like similar to like the level that Christian Bale did for The Machinist. Like fucking like have you I know you probably haven't seen The Machinist with Christian Bale, but have you ever seen like the body transformation that he went
Yeah, I've seen the side-by-side picture of him in The Machinist versus him in whatever the one where he played Dick Cheney where he gets fat as shit.
Yeah.
He needs some milk.
I remember a quote, like they were like, "How'd you lose all the weight?" He's like, he said he had like
he's eating like an apple a day.
Yeah, he had a Granny Smith apple and cigarettes.
Nice.
And then right after that role, he nailed Batman.
And he bulked up to like fucking 230 and shit.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's him or if it was Russell Crowe that got like slim and fat for something. I think it's Bale talking.
I think Russell Crowe's just fat. I don't think.
I confuse them because I think it's the accent, but no, I think it is for the Cheney one. He said they were like, "How'd you add all that weight so quickly?" And he said he took like Ben and Jerry's, and he would fucking throw them in the microwave for like a minute, and he fucking just drink them, and he drank like 5 a night. It's like, damn,
they don't do it. I mean, they're like 1,400 to 2,000 calories each one. So
yeah.
He goes through his process of, so I took my Thanksgiving leftovers, right? And I got some tortillas.
And I put them together, right?
put some drippings in there, and
dude, honestly, this Thanksgiving I played it like really like tight. Like I did not fucking overeat at all. I think the past couple of Thanksgivings, like just had a regular plate. I didn't even have
Yeah.
dessert the first night. Although the second night I got into some apple pie, but put a little bit of cheese on top, a la mode.
What? You put cheese on your
Apple pie, take a slice of sharp cheddar, nuke it for like 15 seconds, scoop a vanilla ice cream. Dude.
is that a Midwest thing?
Are you
'Cause I don't-
pregnant, Jim? I'm just curious.
No, it's not. I don't know if it's a Midwest thing, but I saw it in.
I think it might be. Can I guess where you saw
Everything's
it?
where?
Did you already start to say it? No or no?
Go. What do you think?
Thank you for smoking.
No, it is from a movie though.
Yeah.
Life is a movie. I got. I saw Men in Black 3, and there's a scene where young Kay goes into a diner, Josh Brolin, and he orders a slice of pie with a slice of sharp cheddar atop. Slightly.
Jim, that
melted.
movie's about aliens invading Earth. I don't think any of the eating habits that they have are something you should demonstrate in real life.
That was my biggest takeaway.
It's fucking delicious. It's just like some people, they put like sour cream or like mayonnaise chocolate cakes and shit like that. Like to me, that's fucking revolting. So,
All right, so cheese on the apple pie is one thing. I'm like, all right, apples with cheese. I've seen there's like sandwiches that have those combinations, but then the ice cream throws me off.
well,
Ice cream with the pie sounds good, but then ice cream with cheese just sounds weird to me. I don't know. Whatever.
it
I'll
all
try
comes
it.
together. They're both dairy, so.
When I finally come to your house and you make me like the weirdest wrap and cheese pie ice cream combination, I'll try it.
Cheese pie a la mode and a turducken-rito.
Yeah. We'll just make a quiche and we'll like put ice cream in it and we'll roll it up in a burrito and fucking salad.
just say cut the middle, man. Just put everything in one unit.
Yeah.
We put chicken noodle soup in a tortilla. And you're gonna have to eat this before it falls apart.
Okay, we've gone off the res.
So Fallen, yeah.
Fallen. Yeah, back to Fallen. I
What do
think
you guys
this
think
one
about
was.
the narration?
I like it. I'm usually not a big narration guy, but I'm okay with it in this film. I like how they kind of sprinkle it in.
I dig it. I mean, what were you gonna say, Steve?
I was just gonna say I enjoy it too. Like, if up to a certain level, you almost don't even notice it, or for me anyway, you almost don't even notice it. But if there's so much of it, it's like, okay, Jesus, I don't need to be like spoon fed every step of the way what's going on. And at the end of this movie, at the very end, he does a little epilogue or whatever. I remember thinking like, was there like narration the entire time? And I couldn't really remember.
It was, yeah.
More than just a couple points throughout, but yeah. So, do you mind if I give my 2 cents and my only slight criticism of this movie?
Absolutely.
Because I enjoyed it quite a bit as well. I didn't know anything about it other than being aware of it at the time, but all I knew was like a demonic whatever. So I enjoyed it quite a bit, but I think it lost a couple points for just me personally, not as a good movie, because, and let me know if you agree or disagree, but this movie felt so similar to Seven to me, but just like a slightly less good version of Seven.
Yeah.
You know, and I just kept thinking like, so this whole thing is centralized around like a religious sort of theme. It only came out like a year or two after Seven, I think. And there's like serial murders.
Yeah, it is similar. Sorry to step on you. I think it was 3 years because Seven was 95 and then this was 98. So
okay. So
but
yeah,
it also, I think Copycat came out the same year as Seven too, and I feel like this has Copycat slightly Copycat vibes.
So I've
too,
never seen that one, but in my mind,
Sigourney Weaver.
So there's the religion theme, the like serial killing with the very, very clear link between all of them put forward. You know, it's not like vague or ambiguous. It's like, oh, this is from this, from this. The person is taunting, like actively taunting the police. And then ultimately the goal of the person, whether it's the killer or the demon or whatever, the ultimate goal is just the demise of the detective in charge of the
Yeah.
investigate. You know, in
Hmm.
these three or four themes, I was like, this is really, really similar to Seven, which is tough because like Seven is a really good movie and has one of my favorite endings of all time.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're sort of comparing yourself to something that great, and I thought the ending in this was awesome too, but by comparison, it was just a little bit less in my mind. So that would be my only criticism. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
See, I knew Steve. I knew that you were gonna like this movie when I rewatched it recently because I was like, I'm watching it and I'm like curious. I'm like, I don't know how Steve's gonna rate this because I'll be honest, like I've kind of, I don't know, I've kind of been a little higher on this film, but now that I'm rewatching, it's been a while, so there's definitely some negatives. Like I've noticed, like it just doesn't play as smooth as it did when I first saw it. But when a cat is the winner in the end, I just knew that Steve was gonna fucking like this film. I like and
Yeah.
he was like a cat walking away, and that's the winner of the film. And I was like, Steve's gonna love this movie.
Well, and I mean, because you saw the cat earlier, so it wasn't like,
Yeah, you did.
whoa,
When
here's
he
this
first goes
thing
to
that
the lot. Yep.
like here's this thing that makes no sense, but it's a convenient way out. It's like, okay, yeah, I remember seeing that. And when they were sort of
Yeah.
panning towards the house in the little crawl space, it was like, oh shit, there's that
And
fucking
you hear
cat
him,
that's
he's like,
still
"You
there.
forgot about me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really
Yeah, that
clever.
was smart that they inserted that before. Whereas if they would have just been like, "Oh, plot device, here's a cat."
We weren't positive that Reese or whatever the Azazel could take the form of an animal, but there's that one scene where it looks like a
Yeah.
cat is looking at Denzel through a window.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then we're
yeah,
getting
yeah.
the point of view
the cat,
from the
like-
cat, possibly. So we're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because he wraps himself around that dude's leg, like when he goes in that storefront, and then it looks like he's got like that predator vision
Mhm.
shit. So I took that earlier, like, oh yeah, okay, fuck animals too. I think wasn't there an earlier part where there was another animal, or am I tripping? Maybe
There's
it
the
was
part
just
with
the
the
one
cat,
cat.
looking through it was like an orange cat.
I
Mhm.
thought for some reason there was a bird, but maybe it was just that fucking shaky cam
Might
the
have
way it
been.
was like angling. Like I thought that, but
Yeah, because there's a couple scenes where the actual like soul or whatever it is, the entity itself is sort of
it's just in the air flying.
roaming
Yeah,
around. Yeah.
that's probably why I thought that.
I also so like the narration, I like it in the beginning because you're kind of like, hey, what's going on here? Like, and then we do the like, oh, we're gonna pan back to like 2 weeks or so, and then it all ties together in the end. You know, so
Mhm.
like the narration for a little while was like sort of like, okay, I get it. Like you're narrating. This film has a weird mix of vibes though. It's like it's a supernatural film. It's a crime film, you know, it's a noir. It's kind of neo noir a little bit. It has a noir
Yeah.
vibe to it a little bit with the narration and the sort of like him meeting the lady and like he's a detective on a case. And it's definitely a weird like hodgepodge of genres.
Yeah, he finds this like it's not really a seedy underbelly, but he uncovers like
Yeah.
some hidden aspect that not everyone is hip to, like this sect of people that maybe know about
And he's not
angels and
even like willing to
demons.
admit it at first. Like he's like, "What? I'm like a detective. Like I just go on the facts. I don't know anything about angels." And
Yeah,
so like the entity itself is not necessarily it's not necessarily like just a demon, right? Like is it a demon or is it a fallen angel?
I took it as it was like her explanation, and Beth David's was that it was fallen angel because she talks
That
about
can't
like
take a form, so it can only take over like a human
right
or a
like
person or
like
some
that was
kind of
one of
Well, I
one
think
of God's
I think I think a
go
fallen
ahead.
angel becomes a demon was what she was
Yeah.
trying to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. So it's not like necessarily like a servant. It's not like say like a I don't know, like a helper of Satan or something. Like it's like a demon, but it sort of became a demon in a different way.
Yeah, like
Well,
it's just an
I mean,
outcast.
not to take you guys to Sunday school real quick, but even Satan lived in heaven and was
Yes,
a
he did.
fallen angel, and so everyone
Yeah.
who went with him became the owner operators of hell. So yeah, I don't know,
Good point.
Yeah.
but I don't know. I
Um,
don't know if it was the same one throughout the entire thing, or if it was just. I mean, I guess it was if they gave it a name, right? Or if it was just like a
Yeah,
general
Zazel.
demonic possession.
No,
Yeah,
think
I
it was
took
the
it
one.
that like that giving it a name gave it more like agency or
Like
something. Like
continuity between the old detective who killed himself and then the new series of shit.
Yeah,
right,
Milana.
like the like in Hereditary they have Pazuzu. Like there's all the or not sorry
No, that's Payman.
Payman, and then in Exorcist you have Pazuzu. So to me it sounded like with the name it gave it like a distinct uh like I think of like mythology and like Ares, like the god of war, and like these kinds of things. Like I associated it with like you know a unique demon, and that maybe there's like a ton of other ones running around too. So and this was just his uh, or this entity's specific mode of operation,
It's funny because
like wanting to like
there's a story in the Bible. I can't remember where it is or what it was, but they're talking to some guy who's possessed, and they're trying to ask like the name of the demon or whatever, like who are you? What's your name? And what he says back is like, we are Legion, which Legion means like 2000. It's like there's a lot of motherfuckers up in here, so good
yeah,
luck.
yep,
You guys haven't covered Exorcist. Oh, you did cover Exorcist 3, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
that
he
was
says that line too, and I think the book by William Peter Blatty was supposed to be he wanted he wanted to adapt the book into the movie and call it Legion, but the studio was like, no, we need the Exorcist
Yeah, you got
cachet,
to tie it in.
so we got to
yeah.
call it Exorcist 3. But yeah, originally it was going to be called Legion, and they were gonna talk about like more than one demon, like the Legion, not the whole thing, but the Legion that he alludes to. So that would
Yeah.
have been kind of interesting if he got to do like had full creative control. But um, real quick, going back, I'm glad you mentioned Seven. I was a little unsure. I put it when I was watching. I put notes. I was like, I'm getting like kind of some Seven vibes off this, but and I agree with you. Like not as well done. Like something about the cinematography kind of took me out. Like one of my few knocks, I guess, of this film. Other than I feel like it just in general. I feel like it could have been trimmed down a little bit. It
Yeah,
does
it's a
run a
little
little
long.
bit long.
Like 2 hours and 4 minutes.
But my biggest thing that I did not like, and I think this is just like a personal preference thing, but I'm curious what you guys thought, was that in the trivia they refer to it as demon vision. So like anytime you're looking through the eyes, like I liken it to like predator vision when
Mm-hmm.
you're looking through the eyes of the demon Azazel, and it's got this weird like delayed, like you feel like you're in like a ship or something, and the colors are
It's
distorted.
got a greenish like hue to it,
Yeah, and
or like
I don't
diluted
know.
coloring.
And some of the movements, it feels choppy. Like the way it made me feel, I just it kind of took me out every time. It's like, okay,
I'm with
yeah, we
you.
get it. We're in the demon, we're in goblin mode, we're in demon time. um, but interesting bit of trivia, real quick. So this demon vision footage in the film was shot using a film stock called Ektachrome, which is developed for stills photography. So they shot at a certain frame rate, and then they printed the film at a higher frame rate to give it this weird kind of
Okay.
herky jerky shit. And they also did a couple other camera movements. They said they used a mesmerizer lens, was also used, which allows the camera operator to cock the lens several degrees to the left or the right. Um, I thought that was interesting, like the technical aspect of what they did to achieve that, but I fucking hated it. I I feel like there's other like 90s movies where they use this weird like during action scenes, like it in fucking Mothman that we watched a few
I think
episodes
that
back. It has that weird effect.
I,
I fucking hate it.
I think they
What
also
is
do
that?
that in late '90s movies where they want to give you the perspective of like an animal. They might have done it in like
Yeah.
Ghost in the Darkness, where it flashes and it
Yep.
like
The
the
lion.
yeah. It's,
It's almost like a dream-like state where like you're seeing through foggy eyes or something, or like it's got tunnel vision,
yeah,
Yeah.
like you see with the animals, right? Like so, like they're seeing predatory like view, so like they're only seeing their prey and everything else is
yeah.
blurred.
Yeah.
I wonder if
I
it was
mean,
like just a new effect at the time, and we're gonna beat the shit out of this.
I feel like that's how Jim sees when he's like making a new burrito. He's sort of just fucking zeroed in on that thing and that sucker, and he's just sort of like floating around the kitchen like an entity. Like,
oh
but
fuck.
no, you're right. Like Jim, I think cinematography wise, like this movie's not. It's crafted well, but it is a little generic looking. Like it, and I think
Yeah.
that's why it sort of gets mixed in the fold with other films around the same time because it just has that same vibe, that same feel. Like Seven had its own feel. And then it borrows a little bit from it. I mean, it's a cop drama type movie with some, serial killer kind of bend. But I don't know. It's like definitely, I don't know. It's a little different in that sense with the, the whole Azazel thing. But I also think one thing that a trope
I think
that
Fallen was missing. It was just missing rain, right, Steve?
yeah. It wasn't in Seattle.
Yeah, very true.
It's Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was not one cheesesteak. How was I supposed to know that they were in
No,
Philadelphia?
there was
Not
at the
true.
very beginning. What was it? They show the Geno's. They show the Geno's steak sign
yeah.
and the baggie that the dude has when he tells his like employer to fuck off.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
It says
you're
like
right.
I think it says Pat's Steaks, and I know those
You're
are
right.
two.
Yeah.
After all my years of watching like fucking Triple D and like Food Network shit, who's got the best cheesesteak? Like I know that like Pat's and Geno's are supposed to be like, the landmark.
You're right. Actually, I got
Philly.
caught up though in that moment because that actor is from. I just rewatched I just watched for the first time Hills Have Eyes remake, and that actor who plays the guy who brings the cheesesteak and is the killer for part of the beginning. He's in that film. He plays like the lizard guy or whatever his name is.
Oh, okay.
With the cleft palate.
I haven't seen the remake in a long time. Did it come out in like 2006 or something like that?
Yeah, it did. That's you.
Okay.
Yeah, you nailed. That's the exact year that came out.
Dude,
And so I was just like, oh, that's the dude.
Dude, the scene when the dad fucking dies in that film, I was like,
oh, yeah, it's horrible.
Fuck, dude. That movie is intense, but yeah, I recognize that guy too, just as like a generic, like super character actor. He's probably been in like 5 episodes of SVU and like fucking CSI and all that shit, but there's
like
definitely cheesesteak action.
So
I actually didn't pick up on like the first few times I watched this that it was Philadelphia. I thought it was generic like New York, fucking Gotham, or like Baltimore. I had it in my head like this time. I was like, I think this is Baltimore.
Baltimore was a good pick, actually. I would have gone with Baltimore if anything.
But then a couple things, like now watching it through my eyes, I was like, where's this fucking thing filmed? And then the cheesesteak, I was like, okay, I think it's that. But I think there's a couple other parts where you notice that it's Pennsylvania, whether it's license plates or something else. But quick fun fact: the dude who directed this, I guess, also did some work on NYPD Blue and the police station and like the like that bullpen where the cops' main area is. Those were used prominently in NYPD Blue. So any fans of that, people of a certain age, maybe that'll jump out. It didn't jump out to me, but I thought that was interesting.
So the guy who plays Reese, the serial killer at the beginning who gets executed, is he from Law and Order, or am I confusing him with somebody else?
So many people confuse him with Christopher Maloney. It's not him, no.
He's from Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, he's Casey Jones from the OG Ninja Turtles 1. He wasn't in 2.
Steve, you've seen Ninja Turtles, right?
Yeah. When I was really, really young, I barely remember it.
Yeah, he's a standout as Casey Jones in the first Ninja Turtles. I feel like it still holds up. I watch it every year, so. But he wasn't in the second one for whatever reason. But then they brought him back for the third one, which the third one's garbage. I refuse to watch it. I wouldn't piss on it to put out a fire. But yeah, he's a good actor. He's really good. I've been trying to get you to watch The Thin Red Line.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, if you want to compare something, you get, Saving Private Ryan, but it's a totally different thing. It's like, it's got a way more philosophical bent to it, but it also has like the action and like the real like gritty, like intense white knuckle, battle scenes that are similar to Private Ryan, but It's got a crazy, like a big, huge, sprawling cast. Like Woody Harrelson's in it for a little bit. Nick Nolte's in it. Elias Koteas he plays a captain in Thin Red Line. He's fucking awesome. He's been in a couple other things. He was in Prophecy, the first Prophecy.
God, I thought
Yeah,
for
I
sure
feel like
it was the guy from Law and Order. Wow.
no, yeah, dude. A
they
lot
look
of people
alike.
think that. Yeah, they do look very similar. They look like they could be brothers or like first cousins.
He
Yeah.
did such a good job. I liked his
He
character.
did. I wish there was more of him, to be honest. Like,
I was just gonna say that. I wish he would have hung around longer.
Yeah.
I know that the entity itself like leaves him and like takes other people's forms, but I wish once in a while we got like maybe a vision of him or like at least his voice more often in Hobbs's head maybe or something.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, and another thing, a critique I could definitely say about this film that I just the whole transferring from person to person. I get it. You don't have to do it 28 times. Like,
Yeah.
you could do it 3 times, and I already automatically know. Like, oh, you could go to anybody. Like, I don't need you to go to everybody. There's that one scene in the precinct where it goes to like 25 people before. Like, I get it. Hobbs is a detective. He's smart. He understands. Like, it was sort of overdone a little bit.
I will take this opportunity to disagree, and I specifically pointed out my notes because I was like, I really like this fucking scene where he jumps like 30 people because, and my argument is, yes, Hobbs is a really good detective, but he's also like very grounded in the facts.
Yeah, he's skeptical.
I felt like I bought that scene as like he's gonna have to do something overt to really like. Because he's got some like hints that something weird's going on. I felt like it was necessary for it to be overt for Denzel to like buy in because it took that for him to really be like, okay, I know that some real fuckery is going on, and he's transferring.
Yeah, no, I get it. But
And
we're
I feel
talking
like
about,
they had to play that up for the film too. But it looks like Steve, you didn't like this aspect at all either.
No,
Okay.
I agree with Hydra on this one. I feel like that it was so unnecessarily pushed in front of you, like, hey, look how easy it is, look how quickly it can transfer. And it actually reminded me, I don't know if this is a regional commercial or if it's nationwide, but there's this commercial that I see every once in a while where it's 2 guys, but it's the same person, and they're like crossing a crosswalk and they meet each other and then they like start fighting, but it's like a weird dance fighting. And I think it's like an anti-suicide commercial or something, but it's so fucking weird and like I'm not exactly sure what the commercial is for, and I've seen it 10,000 times. I even took a screenshot of it because I thought it might come up because it was so
wow.
it was so unnecessary. I thought I can put it in the chat to see if
Much, like, I think the scene itself is necessary, but they overdo it. You know, like him seeing a couple of his coworkers become, Azazel works for me. Him going outside and seeing a couple people in the street, that's fine. But then it just transfers from like a guy and his girlfriend to like a guy going this way, and then it's going this way, it's going that way, it's going back towards him. Like it just.
I remember the part where the big fat guy comes across from the trailer, like specifically, he's like, "Beware my wrath."
Yeah,
I thought that was a little cartoony,
like heavy-handed.
but everything else I liked, especially with the old lady, and she turns around and she's like, "Some things you just shouldn't know." And
I think
like,
if you took those scenes and peppered them in other parts of the movie, it would have worked better than just. It was like they blew it all in one spot.
it's
Okay.
funny because I didn't really like that entire scene, but then when the fat guy says "Beware my wrath," I was like, all right, that's a nice way to put a little bow on it. So
I liked when Gandolfini's guy. What was that guy's name again?
Lou,
Yeah, Lou. Yeah, when Lou
Who's
like sings to
Lou?
him for a moment there, I'm like, okay. Like there are also moments where it's like this thing gets in places where you're like, okay, how did you get in there? Like when it's in Hobbs's house,
yeah.
it's there at least twice, and I'm just sort of like, well, how did you get in there? Because you were like the Abercrombie and Fitch lady a while ago, or whatever that lady was, like the J. Crew lady or whatever she was that witnessed the killing out front where he has to shoot the school teacher, which is
Oh
another
yeah,
thing.
dude, she was creepy.
She was,
Something
but like,
about
so
her.
did she break in the house, or did his entity leave the house, leave her, and take over somebody in the house, like the
Well,
brother?
It
Did the brother
don't
stab
know.
himself with the?
you would think it would be her because then when they're escaping the house, you see her
She's in it again. Yeah,
again.
she.
But
Yeah.
then again,
Yeah.
you see it go back and forth from that husband and wife, like from him to her and then back to him. So who the
Because
fuck
I got
knows?
the idea that almost like the brother was taken over for a minute by him, and he made the brother stab himself with the poison and kill himself.
That's what I always thought. And then this time I was like, well, fuck. He put a mark on the sun too, Sam. He's like, what if he just went fucking full goblin and invaded the sun real quick because that window was open.
Yeah.
Remember when he goes by the window and he sees that coin and the window's open like 6 inches.
Yeah,
So I thought
and
that's
then
how
the
he
coin
got
was
in.
used at the crime scene.
Yeah,
It was left there as evidence. I did like the brother too. I thought the brother was very endearing in the relationship with Hobbs and the brother and the nephew. I thought that was definitely, I don't know, it was a nice little. It added some heart to the film.
So I read
Yeah.
something funny. I didn't do a ton of research about this, but I just read the Wikipedia synopsis to see if there was anything I was missing. And there was one line that I thought was hilarious talking about this scene where it says, Azazel possesses his nephew Sam and attacks John, like talking about when the kid gives his dad the black eye.
Yeah,
right.
And he says, Azazel possesses his nephew Sam and attacks John's intellectually disabled brother Art. He's like, that seems. I didn't get that. I didn't think he
I
was
did.
intellectually.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, he was off a little bit. Like he either had a social disorder or depression, or he was in a robe like all the time.
I just thought he
Yeah.
was a little like sensitive, like a little weird, but yeah, that just made me laugh. Like,
I got the idea that like Hobbs has been helping take care of him throughout his whole life, mostly.
Yeah, and I took it that he was maybe not like intellectually like disabled, but I thought he was like kind of on the spectrum maybe.
Yeah,
And then I mean, obviously, there's no wife in the picture, and that's his son. And then
Yeah,
he just his wife was killed, and that just crushed him and put.
that's
him in
kind of
this
what I
weird
thought. Like he was having a
you
hard
might be right with
time,
that.
but
Yeah,
I think it could be a little bit of both, but that description just sounds really harsh.
it does.
it did. I was like, oh shit, I didn't feel like they put that out there.
Because he does, the son does call. He says, "Play ball with your dad. I gotta go for a minute." And he's like, "My dad's a spaz," and like he's like, "Don't say that about your father." Like,
Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
That's a
cherish
good
what you have.
that's
Yeah.
a good detail. He's like, yeah,
And like the part where Goodman comes up and he's like giving him a lowdown on a case. They're playing
yeah,
basketball.
that was it.
And he it's like he has to instruct him, like hit the nephew for his dad. He's like, hey, don't forget lunch. Like that's happened in the past. Like he just forgot to feed his son. And
Yeah.
then he tells Art too, he's like, hey, 10 more minutes. Like it felt like he needed a little bit of an extra push. So
Yeah, I really liked
yeah,
the brother though.
yeah, I did too, and I felt like it was like it tied into maybe not super well, but like Denzel's kind of got a chip on his shoulder, like maybe that's why he's an overachiever in his detective work and stuff, and he's like, he hasn't had time for his own life. He's always taking care of others, and he's got his
Because
brother
he's not
that-
married.
Yeah, he's just
He
like
doesn't have
a
a kid, so he's
workaholic
just
and like helps his
Helping out
brother.
with the
like,
family.
yeah.
Because
So-
there's even a little bit of like a romantic vibe between him and Greta.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit I picked up. But I
Yeah.
also like too that they didn't shoehorn like a fuck scene in for this.
No, they didn't. I wrote down in my notes too. I was like, Greta's a looker in like a handsome sort of way, the way Jim Baby would say.
Yeah, I would say that. I think of her though. I had a crush on her from Army of Darkness because she shows her fucking her fucking chi-chis.
That's where
in,
she's from.
Yeah, Army of Darkness, Steve, too, is like unofficially like Evil Dead 3.
yeah.
where
I've
Ash
seen Evil
goes back in
Dead.
time. Yeah.
I haven't seen Army of Darkness, but when I was watching this, I was distracted because she looked so familiar to me, and I couldn't figure out if I was like, is that fucking Alyssa Milano? But then I was getting angry
She does
because,
look like her a little bit.
but then I was like, her character's last name is Milano. Like, why would they do that? And I was getting really upset. And then I was like, she kind of looks like a mix between, Alyssa Milano and the gal who's in all those American Horror Stories, Sarah Paulson. She looks like a weird
yeah.
combination of the two. And then I looked up her IMDb and I was like, I don't know her from anything. So maybe she just has that look.
Not even Matilda? She was the teacher, Miss Honey.
Oh, yeah.
in Matilda.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I've seen it, but I didn't really recognize her from that.
She hasn't been in a lot. She's kind of a name, but yeah, she's been in Army of Darkness, Matilda, fucking 13 Ghosts, Matthew Lillard.
Mm-mm.
No, all right, Tony Shalhoub. She's in that, and then she's in this, but I can't think of
I
anything
liked her
else she's
character
in.
though.
But yeah, I liked her too. They didn't overplay her. I feel like, and I mean, she was kind of like, she's the main point of exposition, or one of the
Yeah.
points of exposition in this film, and like the info dump, giving you the background on the angels and demons, and like,
I felt like she
I
could have
always
been a
sort of
little
like when
more.
they do that with the character and they deliver it over time rather than just like dumping it to you all at once. Like,
yeah, they could have done worse for sure.
yeah,
I think-
But
but I
she,
get what you're
I fe-
saying. Too.
I think she could have been a little more helpful towards the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah,
Well, she was very standoffish at first too. She was
Yeah.
sort of like, "Hey, I'm just gonna be on
but
my
I mean,
way."
to her point, she saw all of this play out with her dad at a
Yeah.
younger age too, and that's why she was like, yeah, kind of like fuck off, like I don't want any part of this because I know how
Yeah.
it ends.
You go kill yourself too. I don't want to tell you anything.
Yeah. Yeah. She could have been a little bit more helpful. I put another note. This kind of reminded me, not a lot, but it reminded me of End of Days a little bit, mainly with the religious angle, with Arnold.
Yeah,
And then there's a callback to that in the trivia I found was there was a time they considered Arnold for the role of Hobbs for Denzel
Oh my God.
Washington. Yeah, I don't see
It would've
that
been
working.
awful.
I love Arnold, but no,
Yeah, not in
Absolute-
this.
absolutely not.
Yeah, this isn't his kind of vehicle.
I mean, I
But-
guess because they play Hobbs up to be like the goody cop, right? He doesn't take the cream,
Yeah,
and so I guess that's why he's sort of able to combat Azazel, right? Like he's supposed to be sort of like an angel, if sort of. So is Greta. I
Yeah,
guess.
and then they plant that seed pretty early because he
Mhm.
gives him that firm handshake,
Yeah,
and that's when like Azazel's
Can't
like,
take him
"Oh,
over.
okay, this is like this is a big catch for me. It's like this is my next like fun thing instead of because he can transfer at will and do anything he fucking wants, but then he's like, oh,
certain
Hobbs, this
people,
guy,
yeah. Like Greta's
he's
dad
like,
too. Like I guess he was
yeah,
a good guy.
star cop, like yeah, he had like maybe some kind of thing. They kind of hint at that, like, oh, maybe there's some people that are like light bringers or like
Mhm.
people that can combat, that are the antithesis to these demon things. And I feel like they weren't very overt about that, which could be good or bad, but yeah, like they plant that seed early. At least I'll give him credit for that. Like when when he gives him that full on handshake, which I thought that was weird too. I was like, why would you shake this motherfucker's hand?
Yeah, it seemed off because he was so agitated when they first go to. You see Denzel flipping the coin, and it's sort of like you could tell he's super invested in this case, and like this guy's like catching this guy and like making sure that he sees the death penalty, and then to shake his hand just seems sort of off to me. It was like, why would you even bother?
Yeah, that part I was like, whatever.
I don't know. I thought they had a kind of professional rapport back and forth. Like, hey, it's the guy who caught me, and he's like, yeah, I gotcha, and no
Yeah,
hard,
they did in that scene.
Yeah, kind of like
Definitely.
a no hard feelings. You're just doing your job, and I'm a sick fuck, and
Yeah, I just killed 40 people. Don't worry. Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, let me shake your hand.
Yeah, I guess maybe I could buy that if he was like not as crazed like a serial killer that's killed so many people, like maybe if more of like a bank robber type person that's killed people or a gangster, I could see that a little bit more, but like a whatever. They had to do that to establish like early on, okay, he can't transfer by touch to Denzel.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah,
they
that makes
fleshed
sense.
that out later on in the film. Like, okay, the only way is when he's in like this like heightened power state, when he's floating through the air, like when he's outside of a body. Then, like when he's close to death and he's got to turn up the juice,
Yeah.
to 11. That's when he can get into like, more of his co-equal, I guess.
they don't even play up the religious stuff though. Like if they had showed Denzel being a little bit, he's not. They don't even play into his faith too much. Where like, why would he be a guy who can't be taken? He's
Right.
not into God necessarily. Like maybe he has faith, but they don't really go in for a film that's kind of long. They don't really go into certain aspects of the plot that would have serviced it a little bit better, in my opinion, too. We spent too much time just watching him touch people and transferring back and
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah, they definitely play him like a straight man.
There was like one line where he's like, I tried to get in there, but I just couldn't because of, is it like he's too aware?
He's all about the facts, maybe, yeah.
There was something like he's too morally whatever, or because
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember exactly what it
What
was,
does he,
but
what's he say? She asks him, like, do you go to church? Do you believe in God or something? To Embeth Davidson. And he's like, I go to church every once in a while, you know? And then, what was the other thing?
he sees too much
Fuck.
The
bad
whole
shit.
cream thing.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing. He's like, it's hard to sustain the faith, you know, when you see what I see, you know, day in
Yeah.
and day out. Like, he's jaded. He's numb to that kind of thing. And he doesn't see a lot of hope or like the good behind things when all he's walking through his blood every day. I also made a note too, real quick, kind of like side tangent of that. I thought it was interesting that, when Embeth Davis leaves him, like when he leaves, she's like, do you believe in God, Mr. Hobbs? And he's like, I go to church every once in a while. And she's like, okay, whatever. And then she's like, good luck. And then that kind of like throws him off and he leaves. And like that kind of thing kind of threw me off a little bit because it's like, you know, people that are very pious and religious, you know, they believe in, you know, I feel like chance or luck isn't something that they would subscribe to. Like it's like everything's preordained and like you give yourself to God, you go to heaven. It's not it's not a matter of like luck doesn't play into it. Like that's more of like the devil's playground kind of thing. So I thought that I just put that I was like interesting.
I took it as her saying like good luck going up against Azazel because you're poking at it, right? And like I'm telling you to leave it alone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like you're going to, and you don't, you know, so like you're not a man of faith necessarily either. So like, good luck with.
Yeah,
okay. Maybe I was trying to read into it a little bit too much.
That's how I took it too. Like, all right, I mean, it's your funeral, but there is also an interesting duality or dichotomy or whatever with religious people where there can be a lot of things ascribed to God's will, but then there's also a lot of things ascribed to free will. So those two things have a really hard time jiving together sometimes. Like, well, is this God's will or is this because of man's free will that it happened? So,
right,
it's like, fuck if I know. So
that's interesting too because I saw this in the trivia, and I'm not smart enough to extrapolate on this, but the one point that was interesting that ties off of that is they took John Hobbs' name, the main character Denzel. John Hobbs is they mashed together so Thomas Hobbes, who is a famous like philosopher, like old philosopher that said that all man is like inherently evil and there's nothing that you can do about it. It's in their nature. So Thomas Hobbes, and then there's John Locke, who was an advocate. So this ties into like people that are into Lost and shit. Yeah, they'll know that very well. John Locke was more like, no, men have free will, and given the opportunity, at the end of the day, the good that is allowed by man's free will override the evil eventually, like in the long run. So those two, I thought that was interesting that they took those two kinds of ideas and smashed those philosophers together to be Denzel's character, where he's kind of like riding the edge on both throughout the film.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, I'm not a big philosophy buff, but yeah,
a philosophizer.
That ties into what you were just talking about, how like there's gray areas, like, because you hear so often it's like, oh, it's God's will, and you just like, Jesus take the wheel and all that kind of thing. But then it does allow for man's free will. That's interesting.
I mean, wouldn't it be great if there was a simple explanation for things that I think that's what most people are looking for, is like a simple explanation. But the problem is it's not a simple world we live in. It's very complicated. So
true that.
One scene that bothered me So the scene where he chases the kid, and then the kid transfers over to the school teacher,
Yeah.
where he gets him to kill the school teacher. The
Yep.
school teacher, he breaks into a stolen vehicle, like a vehicle that just happened to be stolen, and just finds a gun.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty convenient.
like that whole scene seemed really sloppy to me. Like I get like him shooting a guy in the middle of the street, that makes sense. But the way that they made that scene happen, it seems sort of rushed and forced. Like I even rewound it because I'm like, wait a minute, like the school teacher didn't have the gun on him, like he just happened to find a gun, like just ran, like it's as if he knew there was a gun in that car.
And wasn't it later on too, like in like a police report you hear in the background that the gun was only filled with blanks?
Yeah.
Did I misremember that, or
No, they did say that.
Okay. So to me that was like, damn, because
Like
I mean this
up.
Azazel guy, like, you know, he can transfer, he's smart. I mean, this
maybe he set it up.
Yeah, he could. I mean, that's where you're giving a lot of credit to the writing and the film and the things that they've set up. But if I think about it, and if I allow myself to give it that much leeway, I could see him choreographing that. Like,
yeah, I didn't think about it like that.
Well, so like taking someone over that has a gun, loading it with blanks on purpose, like going to all these lengths to like, because it shows, and like the things he talks about, he's like, I'll fuck you up left, right, front, and center, and like if that doesn't work, I have other ways. Like, I mean, you have to remember too, this creature's thousands of years old, so it's got you know all these tricks up its sleeve. So
the fact I got
kind of gave it that
and the randomness of the scene, but yeah, now that you're saying it, it makes sense that he might have had the car there, the gun, and then the teacher was just sort of random. Like that was just a random person he grabbed after he was the kid. Yeah, and then just he knew to go into that car at that moment. Maybe like he drew Denzel into that trap to run towards that area. That makes more sense. It didn't play out that way. Like they never showed him set it up. So I was just sort of like, how would he know?
That's the cool thing about breaking down films is like when I was watching it, I didn't think all of that, but after us talking and just kind of throwing things back and forth, it makes you think like, well, what if? And you know, like, this thing's like been around for so long that, well, if you sit and think about it, yeah, that could be plausible that it's, I mean, because its only goal, it doesn't have to worry about anything other than surviving, and it's got that down clearly over thousands of years. So it's getting off on toying. It's like, even at the end too, like when he's John Goodman, he's like, what's maximum fun? This is maximum fun. Like he's just like, this is a circus that he's just kind of running through and having fun. So
yeah, John Goodman goes ham in that scene too.
Yeah.
He's taking and shit. Yes, it is. That was the most John Goodman I've ever seen John Goodman be.
Yeah, I liked how that, because I was like, throughout this film, I was like, he played it pretty low key, like as that character, and when it infects, when Azazel comes into him, they let him go.
We got Dan Connor in the very end there,
full throttle. Yeah. Although there is one line I wrote too when John Goodman is John Goodman, and they're like all the weird shit's happening with these copycat cases and shit. He says, "Someone's playing with my dick, and it ain't me."
Yeah. When was the last time he saw his dick, though?
What's that?
Yeah,
he's definitely got a dicky do. Yeah. Well, now you can probably see it, but
at the moment, I'm like, what if he's got to run after someone? Like he's in horrible shape in this role.
He's big.
That line reminded me of Walter in Big Lebowski. Like, somebody's playing with my dick and it's not me.
Yeah.
Damn it, dude.
I'm staying. I'm finishing my coffee.
I do love John Goodman in it, though.
That's fucking interesting, man. That's fucking interesting.
Damn it, Walter.
I thought, there's, now that we're talking about it too, I feel like I have more knocks against it than I won't say more critical points, because I do like this film. But another critical point that I didn't like about this, especially towards the end, is when Denzel's on the lam finally, and he's got Sam with him, his nephew, and he's talking to him about he's breaking it down like, all right, yeah, your dad's dead and people are going to say shit about me. I thought that was like really cheap and like we have to address this, and they just slapdashed it together like the and then it seems like okay, yeah, like the kid already knew, like he knew something weird was going on, and it's like I don't feel like he was that perceptive as of a kid to like realize. Well, maybe he was because he knew like his dad was a little bit off, but he didn't seem affected by it. Like it
I guess he
didn't.
put the pieces together, like, oh, we ran out of the house and Dad was still sleeping, but he didn't even seem to emotionally deal with it.
Yeah,
either.
he did.
Like,
Yeah, I that kind of rubbed me a little bit wrong.
and then he's like, oh, John's like, I'm just going to leave you with this random lady you just met for the first time. You might be with her for a long time. Who knows?
yeah, like here you go, and he's just like, I mean, maybe that's the resiliency of kids.
She did a great job in Matilda, so we're gonna
you're right. And the kid's like, I'm just going to go to sleep. When I wake up, this is all going to be over in a dream.
Yeah, I just didn't. I feel like there should have been a little bit of impact from
I
that.
kind of feel bad for the kid too, because I'm like, wait, John dies in the end, like, and his dad's dead, and he's left with some random stranger who has no custody of him. Like, there's no law that the law's not going to let her keep him.
Oh
and
yeah,
the killer's
he's going
out there. Like, he can come back in cat form, whatever form he wants. He might have still came back and killed that kid.
Yeah,
who knows?
But even if he didn't, yeah, he's getting like rolled through the system, and like, yeah, he's not staying with Miss Honey, like, and having like this idyllic life with this nice, caring woman. Like, yeah, he's getting screwed over for sure. Yeah, I didn't like that aspect of it. I was like, he should have felt something more. He should have been like more, or at minimum like tripped out, like, oh fuck, like,
Yeah,
but there, like there's a specific scene he's sitting there and he's like smiling and he like rubs his head. He's like, dude, your dad just died. You're on the fucking train tracks. There's like hobos surrounding you.
Yeah.
Your uncle, who pretty much was your dad, it seems like he's pretty much raised him for the most part. Like, he just said, you might not see me ever again. And he's just like, all right, I'm going to pretend like this is all going to go away tomorrow.
I believe he tapped him on the head and was like, remember the Titans.
Strong side.
Also, the finale, it's a little convoluted. To the whole, like, okay, I get going. You're going to go to a place where you can't, the spirit can't find another human being. Fun. The cops come there. I like that sort of interplay of like, oh, we think it's Sutherland for a minute, and it's not, right? It's Goodman. And I love that line that he gives. What does he say? Like, sometimes life gives you a surprise or something like that. And and then he's like, sometimes it's a big one. And he shoots Sutherland in the head. And I love his delivery in that part.
Yeah, then he turns it on.
Yeah, he turns it on like big time. And then he turns it on like when he gets shot. He's like, fuck you, motherfucker. Like, he's getting so angry.
Dude, I like when he's singing that the time is on my side. He's like, you a Stones fan, Hobbsy? He's like, no, you're not, you big monkey fan, you pussy.
Yeah. But the whole like poison in the cigarettes, like, I get it, but you shot the guy in the head. Hobbs could have easily just shot himself in the head right after. There was enough time to do that. Did you need to smoke a poison cigarette too? Like, maybe as an extra insurance, but it just seemed sort of like dragged out too. I don't know, just in order to get to that ending of him running away.
Just smoke a regular one if you've quit and you're like about to hit one of these before we go out, and then boom.
Yeah, and then
because what if it's not enough poison or whatever,
or smoking it doesn't do the job.
Right.
Enough,
Yeah. The gun to the head definitely your margin for error is like zero. So,
but then we don't get that narration that we got in the beginning. Like, we don't get the tie-in to him saying, "Oh, I almost died."
Yeah, this is one with like the replay value kind of eats it, because I remember when I threw it on, I was like, "Oh, that's right, the fucking evildoer." Wins out, because he's got that. He's kind of got a sly. He's like, did I ever tell you about the time I almost died? Like, I don't like that. I wish they would have played that more straight, or just left that out. The first time it's cool because you don't know, but when you watch it again, it's just like, oh, that's right. Whereas, like, you put this film aside for a couple years, like, there's a ton of shit, like the whole, like, the him finding out and going through the files and like seeing, oh, there's someone else who already did this, the religious gal's dad, and like uncovering all of that was interesting to go through again. But I remember thinking, I was like, fuck, I wish they would have played it a little bit straighter at the beginning.
Yeah, I definitely like the cop stuff. I definitely like the investigation part, and like I said, like this film sort of ties the line of like several different genres, and I don't think it does them all successfully. So that's sort of why it seems a little, I don't know, like fractured in a sense. Where it's like, is it a thriller? Yeah, it is sort of. It's also like a mystery film, and then the supernatural part is a little bit tacked on a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you call it when it's like a cop story or
Yeah.
Like,
procedural or no?
No. What do you mean?
Well, I thought you were trying to classify like the kind of like,
what
cop
were you
story.
saying? What's it called?
I was saying like a procedural, like, like an incident happens, there's cops, they start out from grounds. Oh yeah, police procedural.
I mean, I count it, man. He said it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like 2 minutes later.
I know. I didn't want to. I was gonna try and goad him into saying it, but I was like, I don't know if that breaks the rules.
Well, I mean, that is it. You think of like SVU. It's the crux of all those like Criminal Minds,
and
CSI.
that's where the Seven stuff comes into play too, where like we're investigating this killer and his, the biblical stuff too. We brought in the linguists to like, oh, this guy was speaking a weird like biblical language,
Syrian
that's dead.
Aramaic.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody speak it before. I've only seen it written. Like,
yeah.
So it's
I liked all that stuff.
I just think I feel like if this like script was like went through another draft, I think it would have been super tight.
Yeah, they definitely could have polished a few aspects.
Yeah,
I agree for sure.
But it's like the building blocks are there for a solid movie, and that's why I think it works. I just think, like you said, Jim, after several viewings, like that first viewing hits really good.
Yeah.
But after a couple, I just remember like I've definitely noticed some cracks this time.
Yeah,
because I'm like, Donald Sutherland's a great actor. What the fuck is he doing in this though? He's just sort of like he just pops into a scene. He's just sort of like, "What, Hobbs?
Yeah.
Oh, you better report to this. Oh yeah. The higher ups think you might be into something, but I don't." And then he walks away.
They could have saved a lot of money by just casting some other dude in his 60s as the lieutenant.
There was one scene that bugged me where they're like, they found your fucking coin in there with your fingerprints all over it on the crime scene, and he's like, well, I was in the crime scene and I had my coin. Maybe I left it behind.
That was my coin. Yeah.
And it reminded me of one of my favorite parts of The Usual Suspects, where he's like, what if I could tell you I could put you in Queens the night of the robbery? He's like, well, I live in Queens. You put that together yourself?
I'm glad that's a film that you've seen. That's one of my faves.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Oh yeah. Did I ever tell you about that barbershop quartet that I was in Skokie, Illinois?
You know what's going to happen to you if you go back to prison? Fuck your father in the shower and have a snack?
Yeah. Oh man, cool. So, would you call this an overall? You enjoyed the film?
I did. I liked it a lot,
Steve.
Yeah,
okay,
very
cool.
Very good.
Yeah, this is one that like I think like Hydra and myself, we can see more of the faults after seeing it a few different times. But yeah, like coming into a first watch, like I think the first time you watch it is good, and yeah, the replay value kind of sinks down a little bit on subsequent watches, but I feel like this isn't like a film you want to watch all the time.
Yeah, maybe I should clarify. I don't think this is a good movie necessarily, but I really liked it.
But you liked it. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, we're not we usually don't go off, yeah, this was a good or exceptional. It's like, did you like it kind of thing. So, yeah, there's a distinction there for sure.
So I do have I have two other things I want to mention real
Shoot.
quick that even though I said I didn't have any criticisms, I just have a couple other little questions for you and Hydra when he comes back. So one of the other things I was reading from the synopsis was it says Hobbs goes to the Milano cabin and calls Jonesy, knowing he will trace the call. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think he was going there. I think
Excuse
he
me.
was trying to like placate him or defer him or like, hey, I'm just going on, whatever, don't worry about me.
Yeah, he didn't want anyone out there.
Right. So that leads to point 1A, which was when he's in the cabin and he's waiting for the demon to show up. I was expecting the lady, right? Because I think that was the last version of the demon that we saw was the creepy gal who was following him.
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember thinking the demon is too smart to go out there alone because
Right.
obviously
He's been there before, and the fucking other cop did the same exact fucking thing.
right. So I was thinking like, man, it would be such a good idea to go into the police department and touch one of them and get that to go. But then when they did go, I was expecting it to be John Goodman. So then when Sutherland came out, I thought, oh shit, no, it's different or whatever. So that was a good little twist that it sort of went along with what I was thinking, but it sort of deflected it momentarily because then when John Goodman came out, it was like, oh shit, yeah, here we go. It's different. But one question I had was the serial killer, what was it?
Reese.
Reese. So he gave Denzel the clue about the gap between these two cops, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So why would he do that? Because all that does is lessen the chances of him living longer, unless he was just trying to boast, or because it seems counterintuitive to be like, hey, go check out this thing which might be able to give you the information to defeat me in the end,
Yeah, and then he seems surprised when he's like, "Oh, you found the thing that what's his name wrote on the wall at the cabin. Oh, clever you! Like you led
Yeah.
him there in a sense. Like,
You told me this guy.
And he kind
Yeah.
of spoon fed it too, like throughout the film, like with little nuggets, But I mean, I took that back to like this fucking creature entity, whatever's been alive, been doing this for
Playing with
thousands and
its
thousands
food.
of years. It's numb. It's wanting that, it's chasing the dragon. It's wanting that risk factor, that uncertainty. Can I make it
A lot
out?
like
Can I
a
make?
serial
Can
killer
I
that
not?
wants to get caught a little bit, but
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it could be along that line too. Like he's sick of it, or he's just like, this is how I have maximum fun. Like he's got to
Or
up you got to up the ante.
you have
the
to escalate
tolerance.
to get that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry.
or like was this his way of? Did he think this was his way of like breaking Hobbs down in order to take Hobbs over, or like, or by leading Hobbs through these breadcrumbs was what was gonna, how he would frame Hobbs and ultimately like destroy his life.
Yeah, maybe he
We
derived
didn't know that
pleasure
until he
from
shook his
doing
hand,
that.
right?
What's that?
I mean, he didn't know that until he shook his hands that he couldn't take over his body.
Right. So maybe from that point, then he
But
was
this was
like,
all planned
oh,
before then.
or it could have. Maybe he knew before, because then like we don't know. At least I don't know the videos that he shot. Was that before or was that after, when he's like, it comes interspersed later in the film when he's like, take a good look, Hobbs, and he's like
No,
going
that
out of
was
his
the
way
same
to
time
show.
that Hobbs was right there. That was like right
Okay.
after Hobbs left the room.
Yeah, I mean, he makes a show of it to like use his left hand predominantly, and then they talk about specifically like fucking Reese was a right-handed. He batted right-handed. He threw right-handed when he played baseball, and like it's like he put these in specifically, but to the question, did he know he was going to do that before? I don't know. Maybe it was like when he shook his hand and he was like, "Ooh, this is a new challenge. Like this is a new opportunity." And maybe he knew too, like this guy, he's like the hero cop. He's got all these collars. Like what do you say? He sent 8 people to the fucking death chamber, or the gas chamber,
Yeah.
the electrocution chamber. Like he's like, this is a hero cop. I want to fucking rub this in his face. I want to fuck his life completely up and flip it around. And at the end too, he like when he possesses John Goodman and he shoots Donald Sutherland and he's talking to him and he's like, you're fucked. He's like, Jonesy's fucked now. And he
Yeah,
did.
just
He went out of his way to like ruin his friend's life. Like his life's completely fucked now. If he transfers out and makes it out somehow, he's totally demolished his life because so yeah, maybe it is just a pure spree sprinkled in with, a little bit of forethought and, adding these crumbs just as like a new challenge. That's the way I took it. Like with that much time on your hands.
They did trace his call back to the cabin. That's what you were saying earlier too. Like,
Did you infer that, or was it like narrated that he's like, I went out here knowing that they would?
there was just the call that went down with him and Jonesy.
Yeah, no, the synopsis I read said that he called Jonesy hoping that he would trace the call, which I didn't agree with. Like, I thought he was just he knew that Jonesy was on with the other detectives, and he's like,
Yeah, he had to have known that.
Yeah, he's like, no,
so that
I'm
was
not,
just
I'm not going to give you.
inferred.
Yeah, whoever wrote that article is a dumb shit.
I guess they plant that kind of seed because kind of throughout, it seems like Donald Sutherland's character, after a while, after weird shit starts happening, he throws little jabs at Denzel throughout the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, you could say like, oh yeah, okay, like maybe this guy, knowing that Denzel has a chip on his shoulder, he's this hero cop guy, and like there's some fuckery afoot, like with all these weird cases that are tied, like the copycat shit to Edgar Reese, who was just killed. So maybe he's got like this gut feeling that something's off, and
It's like a
and
little
maybe
red
somehow,
herring thrown in too, where like Donald Sutherland seems like almost like, oh, was this like a case that was sort of like covered up years ago, and like that's why he tells him like, leave it alone, don't investigate this any further.
I got like a little LA Confidential vibes too. Like for a minute, I was like, oh shit. I was like,
going on in
maybe,
his head.
yeah, maybe it's something with Donald Sutherland's character in the
They
past
killed
that he
Milano.
doesn't. He's kind of playing it cool, but in the background, he's like, fuck, or he's trying to do something like to bar or to like inhibit Denzel from like really finding the truth. I remember on this watch, I was thinking like, oh, is that part of it? Like, was
They
he
go that
involved
way
in
a
some
little
shit? They do, and then it makes you think, well,
I'm like, oh, who's that cop on the plaque? And he's like, I have no idea. Like, you do know though.
but yeah,
So
he
why do
does.
you like he didn't?
Yeah, I guess you could explain that away too. Like maybe it's just like a stain on the department, and he didn't want like someone digging through that. Or you could take it like, oh, like he knows about that, and he just doesn't want to get involved. Or maybe the Azazel character too is he can transfer from person to person, and they make a note too in the film that when he transfers Azazel, he becomes that person and knows their past. So I thought that was an interesting point that they put in the film. Like, okay, as soon as he takes over, he knows whoever he takes over's full past and exactly where they're at in life. Like, it's not just like he takes over this vessel and it's like,
no, he knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah, he knows exactly the person he's inhabiting, their whole life story and everything, to be able to assimilate and just go through life and then jump off or do something.
There's like a section of their life that they're missing. They don't even know what was happening.
Yeah, and then when they come out of it, it's like amnesia. Like the one dude, he's like, I've been drinking. I don't know. He's like,
I think I've been
And then he's like, yeah, you lost your job, man. You fucking got fired. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
So
they
yeah,
also love cornflakes for some reason. I don't know.
I thought I took that as like that was some kind of hallmark of the Edgar Reese serial killer. Like that was his like,
yeah, I guess,
killing signature, and that he kept that up and using the same poison to like, wrap up the cops in a tizzy. Like this dude just died, and then we have a copycat, and then I think there's another point too where it's like what was it? The first two people he transfers into, they killed each other in the same exact way. So that makes it even more confusing and like complex. Like, what the fuck is going on here? You know?
I guess he was trying to make it look like a copycat, and then he wanted to point the blame at like, oh, it was Hobbs who was the copycat all along. Like,
yeah, and then that's what he started working towards. Like, oh, like similar to the first guy, Robert Milano. Like he went crazy and like
it just seems so convoluted for a demon to go through that fucking. Like, you're a fucking demon, bro. To go through all that.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
Like, you can transfer from body to body. Like, you could be the president of the United States right now if you wanted to be, but instead you're playing games with some fucking detective. Like, I don't know. Seems a little odd to me. Like, when you pick it apart, it definitely starts falling apart in my eyes now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost feel bad for having to pick it apart. I'm like, no, wait, I like this movie.
Well, another thing that was interesting to me is like I didn't look at Rotten Tomatoes, but on IMDb, which I feel like IMDb, it's pretty tough to get a good score. Like, I think in the last episode we were talking about, like, the lion's share of shit is between like a 6 out of 10 and like a 7.5 out of 10. And I think this has a 7 out of 10, which I think that's a pretty respectable. That's a really good score for IMDb.
Yeah.
So I was actually surprised to see that, because I could definitely I enjoyed this film, but I could see this being like ranked as like a 4 or a 5, like a run of the mill, like police procedural with supernatural elements.
Probably.
There it is, police procedural. I don't like to disappoint. I think, yeah, we got a couple other things to get into, but yeah, I think that for me, that kind of wraps up Fallen. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on?
I do like
about
the
this
ending.
film?
I like the end. I like the last scene of just like the people in the bustling city walking around.
Yeah,
and how congested it is.
Yeah, it's like it could be anybody.
We get sympathy for the devil from the Stones, which ties in with "Time is on your side, is on my side" from the Stones. So I kind of just dig that. I thought it was a good musical choice and just a cool ending scene of like, this thing's out there again, and it's just you're not gonna stop. Like, a mortal man's probably not gonna stop this thing. Others have tried.
I did like it too, because they could have easily made this into like, happy, like good ending, like good prevails. I liked how they leaned into like, nope, you got the cat, and then that end part with the music, and then it's like, yep, he's out there, he's just jumping from person to person, and who knows what the fuck else is going to happen out of this. So
like they make it seem like there might have, like, the good guy might have won, but in order to win, he was still going to kill himself. Like, he was going to die, Yeah. And like that would have still been like, okay, like he beat the demon, but he still had to. The ultimate sacrifice was he had to take himself off the board, and everything around him basically burned down to a cinder too. Like, his family is like
his best friend Jonesy, his nephew. Yeah,
it's sort of like
Fun piece of trivia too I saw was, I guess, fans of this film that like this ending left a poor taste in their mouth, that there's a fan cut or edit out there somewhere called Azazel, where they edit the end to make it out where Denzel wins and good prevails.
I hate people that do stuff like that.
And he does it, yeah.
Dumb.
Like, give it up, bro. The film is over. The people that created the film ended it the way they wanted to. Who are we to change the ending? If there's a director's cut out there and there's a different ending, that's different. But you're going to go out of your way to create the other end? Like, get a fucking hobby. Get laid or something. Like, what are you doing?
Get a John Hobbsy.
Oh.
Can I share my favorite? This might be a new feature because I like it a lot. But I went on.
I reckon you better suck these balls.
Just kidding.
Right.
Yeah, go for it. Oh yeah, let's do it.
So I was reading some reviews, and there was one that was particularly cunty. That might need to be a recurring segment of my favorite cunty review of the week of the movie we watched. This bitch says, and she's so self-congratulatory, I think. She says, "The first half of this movie holds some promise, but time is not on its side."
Oh boy,
So witty.
that's the whole thing.
Yeah,
Oh Christ.
that was enough to send me into a rage spiral.
Yeah. It's like,
I
yeah,
can't even understand her critique though. She didn't go into any detail about why. What is
she's
it?
just being
it's like she had time on your side in her head,
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah,
what's the
you knew
most
the ending of what
basic
you wanted to
fucking
say.
way I can spin this into being a hoe bag?
And her screen name was Karen 69.
It was dumb bitch at AOL.net. Weird.
AOL.
Oh, dude, AOL. Do you remember seeing some of the film of this? And he's
Yeah.
like Googling, and it said America Online is like the
Oh, I do love
OG
the early
internet.
internet vibes that we get from him, like doing research.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah,
he does a little research at night and then brings a folder of the photocopied things that he saw online
yep.
to show like his other police, like, oh, check out what I photocopied last night. I got some maps from MapQuest to go to this. Fuck.
Well,
I photo-
he looks up.
I photocopied some research from CompuServe.
Well,
Yeah.
he looks up one guy and is like, "Here's all the information I have." If I try to look up one person's name, it's like, we have 10,000 results on Facebook for Skokie, Illinois. Like,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Kobayashi.
It brought me back to an older time. I think there was a scene where they cut out where he had to put in the new disc of AOL. The
my free trial has ended.
the free
the
trial.
next 90 minutes. Jesus. Yeah. Oh, another segment one. I got to come up with a bump for this, but what was it? Like all paths lead back to Bill Paxton.
Okay.
So it's basically like 6 degrees of separation, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I didn't prepare for this.
Yeah, so I'm putting you on the spot. I'll start with Steve. Can you tie this movie back in any way, shape, or form, whether it be actor, director, writer, something autobiographical to you that can tie this back to Bill Paxton?
I don't think I can. I'm sorry.
This one's kind of tough, I think, now that I speak it aloud. But I think I got one. Hydra?
I'm drawing a blank.
Inquiring minds would like to know.
Think of like, so we're trying to bridge a line between Bill Paxton and Denzel, or this movie in general.
This movie in general. So it could be any actor, any one of the writers, a director. I think I got one. If you guys are still stumping, maybe I'll give you some breadcrumbs and see if you can take it from there.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So okay, so we have Denzel. Obviously, that's my first jumping off point. So he was in a movie called Bone Collector with Angelina Jolie.
Jolie, yeah.
That's the hint. So can you branch off of Angelina Jolie to Bill Paxton? Maybe if you think previous lovers of Angelina Jolie.
I'm thinking
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
Warm.
Fuck,
Warmer.
I just keep thinking of Twister.
I'm thinking I just recently watched Aliens.
Yeah. All I think is Twister and fucking Aliens.
And then my mind jumps to fuck. What is it? True Lies. When he pees himself. I got a little dick, man.
It's pathetic. Dude, I love when he's in that like the dream sequence of Arnold, and he's like driving in that fucking like Porsche, that old Porsche, and he's talking about Jamie Lee Curtis, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm working on this new one. He's like, what does he say? Titties that'll make you want to bend down and beg for buttermilk. Ass like a 10-year-old boy.
Ass like a 10-year-old boy. How is that a descriptor of a fine female ass?
Dude, you
like
got
a
me,
10-year-old
man.
boy.
He plays such a fucking cooter sleazeball in True Lies. All right. Well, so
right.
if you take
6 degrees.
Angelina Jolie to Billy Bob, you were on the right track. So
Okay.
Billy Bob and Bill Paxton starred together in A Simple Plan, circa
Oh,
1998.
okay.
You guys ever seen A Simple Plan?
No.
I have.
Billy Bob plays like a intellectually disabled, handicapped fella.
Aren't they
Along
con
with-
men in that?
Kinda. They're kind
It's
of
sort of like a modern day Men of Mice, Mice of Men or something like that.
yeah, kind of. They stumble upon
Right.
like a plane has crashed, and there's like a cache of money, and they fucking
Yeah.
they get it and they keep it, and then just shit starts going fucking wrong.
There's a lot of violence in that film, from what I remember.
Oh yeah, I can't remember if it's a. I think it's a Coen Brothers. Maybe
I
it's
was gonna
not.
say, is that a Coen Brothers film?
If it's not, it feels like one.
The
but
Blood Simple is a movie that is their
That-
film.
that's a similar one with Frances McDormand. It's an early Coen
Yeah.
Brothers that's really good. Like the wife's fucking around on her husband. There's money
And
involved.
I feel like I could have bridged that. I feel like there's a movie where Paxton was actually in with Denzel, maybe, and I'm trying to remember.
I can't think off the top of my head, but another route would have been Schwarzenegger was considered for Fallen.
Yeah,
you could have taken that to True Lies and Bill Paxton. Those are the
Not
two
yet.
that
No.
I thought of quickly.
That's not a branch I would have went down. That's
No,
cheating.
That's not.
That
You
doesn't
don't
count.
know. That's not valid.
Nope.
No, I'm with Steve. I agree with
All
Steve.
right. Whatever. I guess before we do have a Denzel devotional this evening, but before we get to that, I didn't think of one for a colloquial corner, but do either of you have a saying that's, I mean, we've been shitting on like new age Gen Z sayings that really grind
Yeah,
our
but we're
gears.
old men. That's what we do, right? Like, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I don't like the word busting.
you don't like, I don't like
Have you
busting
covered
either.
that one? I don't like busting. I think it sounds stupid.
Yeah, an episode or two ago when we had Miles on, he talked about like trying out new slang, and he's like,
That was a good. Yeah, I heard him. Yeah, that was funny.
he's
actually.
like, yeah, I can't get away with bussing.
Miles is a funny dude. I planned after that episode. I asked him. I'm like, you got to come on a cuddle above. So we're scheduling something soon.
Nice. Yeah, he's a
Next
good
week.
hang. Yeah, and he's pretty sharp. He's pretty quick witted.
He always gives me shit in the slack, like in a fun way. Like, like I know it's kind of mild to sort of knock me down a peg, but in a very funny way.
You bring us down a whole octave in a good way. From Elf, Will Ferrell. Have you ever seen
Yeah.
Elf with Will Ferrell?
I've seen Elf. I'm just not that well
Yeah,
versed.
I have.
Okay, dude, I have kids, so
All I remember
yeah.
from Elf is Santa, and he puts
Yeah.
syrup on like
on
spaghetti.
spaghetti, yeah, and
Yeah.
fucking M&Ms.
Call me an elf one more time.
Yeah.
Also, does Steve know about that email?
Yes, we briefly talked about it before this, but I was like, to be clear, this is the Hydraberg that's the in real life version, and
I'm gonna
not
feel
the
bad
one-
because he got a kick out of that email, and I kind of want to be like, "Oh yeah, that was me. I told you to have explosive diarrhea."
It's one of the hardest times I've ever laughed.
I
It
know.
was a-
I was like,
it was a
"Damn,
good laugh."
I almost wish I could own it, but I feel bad owning it because it wasn't me. So I just feel like, although I did wish diarrhea on you for a while there because I was like, I love the Burbs. How dare he talk about the Burbs?
Your hot take on the Burbs.
I cut you
is not
slack
well
because you just
received.
didn't grow up with the same films as us. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
your wish was granted because I had diarrhea a lot after that. So
yeah. But like you just didn't. I don't know. Like I feel like there's a gap between certain films that you just didn't see that like were building blocks for say me and Jim, right? And like
yeah,
there's also a movie language that you build when you watch a lot of films where like there's certain things of film logic where you're just sort of like, yeah, I don't look at everything as in a realistic form. I'm like, oh, it's a movie, but like
Yeah.
when I listen to podcasts, I hear your brain picking apart things where you're like, how does that happen? Like we're doing tonight with this film, and I'm like, I kind of get where Steve's coming from because he only has like 10 films that he's ever seen in his whole life. So I'm
Right.
sort of like,
yeah.
I get it. Like, no, you've seen a lot more films than that. But
Yeah. There's something to be said for the nostalgia factor.
I appreciate the consideration because I don't have a wide variety of exposure. So
I listened to a couple episodes of this podcast at first, and I was like, "This guy Steve's killing me. Like, I just can't. I don't know if I can." And then one day I was so behind on the podcast, I just put them all on while I was at work, and I listened to like 20 episodes, and I was like,
Yeah.
I messaged G Baby. I was like, "Yo, I think I'm on. I think I've grown into a Steve fan. Like, I like Steve."
Yeah.
And there were a couple episodes where like you were doing the extensive research on episodes and the missing person stuff, and then you were talking about your card counting, and I was just like, he's an interesting guy. Like, I got to cut him some slack just because he hasn't seen like all the films that we love. Like, so what?
Yeah. You definitely bring a different analytical angle. What else I was going to say about the colloquial corner? It's like, it doesn't have to be something that we want to shit on either. It could be something like fun or like one of your favorite phrases or like something new that, you know, it doesn't have to be specifically negative, but we do have a Denzel devotional this evening that I'll get into right meow.
And now it's time for our weekly Denzel devotional.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
That musical interlude is perfect for this movie that we just did too.
It is got the religious angle, the in nomine Patris. All right, so let me get this set up here. This is one actually that this isn't an actual quote from the real life Denzel. This is an excerpt from a movie called Fences that he was in. But I really like this scene, and I thought it'd be interesting to just discuss briefly. But without further ado, here is Denzel talking to his son in, I think it's 2017 or 2018 that this film came out, Fences. So here we go.
How come you ain't never liked me? Who the hell said I got to like you? What law is there say I got to like you? No. All right then. Don't you eat every day? Yes, sir. Got a roof over your head? Yes, sir. Got clothes on your back? Yes, sir. Why you think that is? Because of you? Hell, I know it's because of me. But why do you think that is? Because you like you. Like you. I go out of here every morning. I bust my butt putting up with them crackers every day. Because I like you. You're about the biggest fool I ever saw. It's my job. It's my responsibility. A man is supposed to take care of his family. You live in my house, fill your belly with my food, put your behind on my bed because you're my son. Because I like you, because it's my duty to take care of you. I owe a responsibility to you. Now let's get this straight right here and now before I go along any further. I ain't got to like you. Mr. Rand don't give me my money come payday because he like me. He give it to me because he owe me. Now, I don't give you everything I got to give you. I give you your life. Now, don't you go through life worrying about whether somebody like you or not. You best be making sure they're doing right by you. You understand what I'm saying? Then get the hell out of my face and get on down to that A&P.
Bang! Fuck.
So he hates his son in that movie, is what you're saying.
Oh, he doesn't hate him.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking with you. Nah, that's a poignant fucking scene.
So good.
I dig it because it's like it's tough love.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I get tough love. Like, I don't know, some people, tough love doesn't work on certain people, but like, I don't know, sometimes it helps when you're down and out, and like the tough love just kind of, sometimes you got to smack people out of it. Like, hey, get out there and fucking, like, life beats you down sometimes. But
I love the whole, it culminates at the end, like the whole the delivery and all that is awesome, but the end when he's like it's not about people liking you, are they doing right by you, like that, and he's talking about the perfect example, like he owns, like, you know, some properties. It's like, this motherfucker doesn't pay me because he likes me, it's because he owes me, you know. It's like, you know, that sense of responsibility, and I think that's, I mean, there's something to be said in that film. He's kind of a piece of shit dad, but he does instill some things that are going to be valuable to that kid later down the road. And that's one of them to me, is this, like, if you go out trying to make everyone like you and be happy, you know, it's like, that's not going to serve you in the long run. You want to make sure that they're doing right by you. Like what he says, it's like, that's what you want. It's like, and then if you want to build beyond that and be friendly with people and, like try to curry favor. And, that's a different animal, but you got to start like the foundation to me. Like I was like, damn.
Yeah. And like, also if you just go through life trying to make everybody like you, like you're not being yourself. Like,
Right. Yeah. Are you going to change and bend your will to like what this person wants or that person wants? Then it's like, then you're losing yourself in that process. Inquiring minds would like to know. Steve, thoughts?
I just kind of want to see Hydra's dog again.
this is my dog. It's my dog.
That's my dog.
He looks like looks like a real good boy.
What's the combo again? Because I remember every time you tell me, I'm like, dude, that's such a fucking cool
Shepherd
mix.
Husky Saint Bernard. He's got paws. He's got these huge fucking paws, and he's got the coat of like a shepherd husky, and he sheds like a fucking shepherd.
Oh, he looks.
You know how huskies are sort of like attention whores? He's sort of that way too. Like right now, I wasn't paying. He's growling at me because I'm not paying enough attention to him.
How old is he?
He's 8, and he's like just never. It's never enough. I pet his head. That's not enough. He bites my hand, and I'm like, well, where do you want my hand to be? You want me to rub your belly? I rub his belly. Then he rolls over. Then he won't get like in a good position, and then next thing you know, he'll get off the couch and go away, and I'm like, I guess I didn't scratch your belly enough. And then he'll come back. He's like a young teenager.
That's like the 3 like most badass like breeds you can like picture rolled into one. Capped off with Saint Bernard.
Looks like a good boy.
I got him at a real good time in my life where I kind of needed a companion. So
yeah,
he's been a good boy for me.
I remember you just post someone else comment. I think Jacqueline maybe commented on it, but you posted something when you took a picture of your breakfast, one of your baller breakfasts, and you just see a snout and Max's nose out the top corner of the picture, like he's just sitting there, like I got dibs on anything you don't want.
He doesn't. Yeah, see, I don't feed him. I don't feed him table scraps. I don't like him begging. I hate that.
Yeah,
I know some people love to spoil their dogs, and I get it. That's fine. But for me, I don't like the begging. So if I ever do give them treats, because they're all about the way their brain works. It's like they have these memories and they build off of that, right? So like if you give him off that one plate or whatever that you eat off of, then he sees you eating on that plate and he always thinks he's getting fed from that.
Yeah, they're gonna expect it.
If you take that same food and put it in his dish later when he's not looking, then he doesn't have that memory to go off of.
Dude, my grandpa was a hard ass in a lot of different ways, and with it trickled down too to like his pets and his dogs, but he was the biggest fucking softie when it came to food and like spoiling his dogs. Dude, he fed them off the plate.
Plenty of hard men are super like soft when it comes to their dogs, man.
Dude, he would bitch and moan about it licking or biting or nipping or whatever, but best believe any time at the dinner, like he would eat his dinner in his recliner and he's throwing chunks of like steak and fucking, little bit of a side, his dogs always ate super well.
When we do a cut above, I put him in my bedroom with his bone, just so he doesn't distract me because he makes a lot of noise sometimes. And but I know this is like sort of more of a laid back podcast. So I was like, I'll just leave him out. If he makes a little bit of noise, it's no big deal.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's been a perfect gentleman this eve.
You know what it is? When I do the other podcast, I got to do I do my fucking reach arounds, and I gotta nail those, and I get nervous about them. So I'm like, you gotta go on the other one.
Yeah,
because if he just shakes his collar, I start looking at him and I get distracted from what I'm reading.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that being just wanting to have everything dialed. And for some clarity too, because I don't think Steve doesn't listen to your guys' podcast, but Hydraberg here, he's a wordsmith when it comes to, and it happened kind of organically, which I like too. Like it just happened off the cuff. They came up with a segment, and it was because you guys were talking about an anthology and how anthologies have a wraparound segment, like when we covered VHS2 with Ghoulish, the through line story that wraps everything together,
the small stories together.
Yeah, they call it a wraparound. When he
I
had
called it
a
reach around.
he had a slip of the tongue and called it a reach around. So that was fun. But then ever
And then
since
my
then,
segment on the show is just to do like the synopsis. Like John, my co-host, was like, "I want you to do the synopsis and just kind of do it in your own kind of style." So I was just sort of writing them, just in my own style, like just normal. And then I ended up doing one that was like half like a rhyme a little bit, and like it got a pretty good. I don't know, like John and Jacqueline got a good laugh out of it. And then next thing you know, I just started trying to make them all rhyme. And now I just do like each week I do a synopsis for the film we're doing, and I make it like a poem.
Yeah, it's like a quick like rap fucking stanza of like synopsizing the
Like
movie
slam poetry
and like
or something, I guess, if you want to say.
yeah,
Or
like a 30 second to minute blurb, and they're honestly like no bullshit or blowing smoke. They're fucking awesome every time they deliver. They kill.
I'm
Every
proud of
time.
them. There's some weeks that I literally want to just be like, I don't want to do one this week.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like I mean, to a much lesser degree, I've been doing. I don't know why I started. I started doing these like intros for Waxing the Porpoise after the fact. And
I love your intros, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Honestly, I don't know where it started from. I think it's because every once in a while I listen to this other podcast called Necronomipod, and they started out with they do a little intro blurb, and it's pretty funny. They sprinkle in like little fucking just anecdote, like little funny things. I was like, that maybe instead of just going into like, hey, welcome to the show, here we go, it'd be cool to like put a little quick intro on the front of it. And
No, yeah.
some of them I'm like the first couple is like really thinking and putting a lot of time into it, and since then it's kind of flowed and become easier. And I could tell that too with
touching on some of the things that the episode touches on.
Yeah,
You're
and I
getting
try
a
to
little bit of
sprinkle
a
in like here's what you can expect, like the bullshit
Yeah.
banter that we're gonna get into throughout.
And you do it in your own sort of dialect that the only Jim G baby could fucking deliver.
Yeah, and the same thing with you, like to a much higher degree. The reach arounds are similar to that, and like honestly, like the like I hate to point out the two that I was on, but I really like those a lot. But I think my favorite in like the last few episodes is the one for Nope. Was fucking super dope. I was like, that was a mic drop moment. I was like, dude, that was fucking sick.
I like doing them. The fans have really I don't know, they really dig them, and I like doing them. Don't get me wrong, and they don't take like that long. I just kind of getting down like the cadence is what takes the longest to me. Is just like if I wait too long to write it, then I don't have enough time to sort of say it out loud enough,
right?
So I can kind of figure out exactly how it should be delivered, and then I might not nail it right on the show, but.
Hydra's being modest. They're all bangers, and I'm on team. You should make a coffee table book of all of like
I'm compile.
Cool, like I would even be down to assist, like doing the captioning and go like the court stenographer and going back and
want the
typing
forward
them out.
done by G baby.
I'm down. I'm there. But yeah, so check for sure. Like that's like I like how it happened organically too. That like. A lot of times in life, like the shit that you don't plan for and that just fucking happens is part of the. It's like it's not the A to B, it's the fucking journey in between. Like that's part of it, and that's like we've had some fun. Like our funnest moments have come out of us just bullshitting and talking and not planning for stuff because I've tried to plan for as much as I can, but. I like that fact that it just kind of sprung out and that it's become this like hallmark of your guys' show, which I really enjoy. So
thank you.
Yeah, definitely check out A Cut Above Horror Review. They're fucking awesome and friends of the show, and they support us, and it goes both ways. So I really appreciate you coming on too, Hydra. I was going to ask you if you wanted, I wasn't going to be like, hey, do a reach around for this one, but I was going to ask you if you wanted to do one. And we talked right before this. It's like, I didn't make it. I was like, hey, don't fucking worry about it. I wasn't expecting that.
I thought I was going to try and write one for this, but I just had a busy week with Thanksgiving and stuff. And
totally. Yeah. This week, especially.
All right, so I'll be honest. Like I was playing a lot of God of War recently, and I just haven't had a chance to. Like, I watched the film the other day, I did my notes, and I was like, all right, that's good. And then I was like, oh, shit, I didn't write a reach around.
No, yeah, it's totally cool. If you wanted to on subsequent episodes, it'd be dope. but definitely.
Yeah, I would love
not
to actually do
required.
one. Maybe I can.
It's
I
because
can
you're good at
one
them.
for this movie, and I'll text it in or something as a call in.
Yeah, we can always work it out on the back end if you were so inclined. But one last piece of quick housekeeping too, because I don't want to. Sometimes we record on like a Saturday. We don't release till Thursday, so sometimes we catch stuff in the backwash. But we did get a new review on Apple Podcasts, a short and sweet one. I wanted to give a shout out to. We got B Money with 3 Y's and a $. I mean, how can you not? They left us a 5-star, 10 out of 10. Waxing the Porpoise, everything about movies, best podcast ever. I don't think so, but thank you. And thank you for listening. B Money, $. We appreciate you, and thanks for listening. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. But unless you guys have anything else you guys want to talk about, I think we're gonna wrap this one up.
Nope, I'm good.
Not really, man. Just my podcast is A Cut Above Horror Review. You can find us on all the Spotify's, iTunes, Amazon Music's, Instagram at A Cut Above, one word, .horror_review, Twitter, Cut Above Horror, and Facebook at A Cut Above :horror review.
Boom. Yeah, I was just going to lead into that.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't just plug us.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thank you for coming on. Thank you for having me on previous episodes too. You guys, Jacqueline and John all have like I've said it before, like even out of the gate, I think it helps too with John's kind of like guiding you guys because he's got like a voice for radio and he has that experience. And then you have your movie knowledge mixed with like Jacqueline's got like a background like in English and she's got like her analytical side to breaking things down. You guys have the secret sauce going.
Without Jacqueline, it would just be 2 dumb white guys talking about
Yeah, Lord knows we need more bearded white motherfuckers talking about movies.
Welcome to Neckbeard Podcast.
Yeah.
With John and Hydraberg.
No. Again, he's being modest. Check out A Cut Above horror review. They're awesome.
Steve, I also don't know if you're aware, but I've talked to Jim Baby about having you guys. I want you both to come on the show soon. So.
Oh yeah, what was that?
I'm down.
Can I spoil it? Can I talk about it?
Oh yeah, it was a certain film. I thought I wanted to have G Baby on, and I thought after this episode we should have you on with him.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't spoil it. Yeah.
You can spoil it. I don't care.
Oh, okay. We were talking. Have you ever? I assumed, and I think I'm right.
He hasn't seen the film, bro. You always do this. You're like, have you seen this movie?
Well, I just and I know he's gonna fucking bait me too.
Maybe.
Like, yeah, I've seen it. No, I haven't seen it. Identity with Ray Liotta.
I have seen it.
You have seen
wow.
it?
I actually saw it in theaters.
Oh, nice. So did I.
Damn.
But what was that like?
So there's no requirement of having seen it or having not seen it in order to come on my show. You don't
was it like 2002 or something? It was a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, so you were a young buck when you saw that, probably. Because you're a couple years younger than I think. So, yeah, you're probably like 15-ish. You guys were
that sounds about right.
Smuggling some Mad Dog into the theater.
I can't remember what date I was talking to you about scheduling it for, but whatever date it is, I want you guys to come on for it.
Yeah, dude, I totally forgot because I've just been so busy with crap. But yeah, that's a joint session if you guys want to have us on.
It's in January.
Okay. Perfect.
I'm down for sure.
Cool. Awesome. Alrighty.
So I think that's going to do it for us this week. That was Fallen from 1998, excuse me. Dude, 1988's on the brain because we've had a streak of like 1988 films that were fucking bangers. But yeah, if anybody has anything they want to talk about in general, or if you have thoughts about Fallen, you can reach out to us. Our email is wax@waxingtheporpoise.com, or you can find us on our socials. Instagram is waxingtheporpoise, and Twitter is @waxingtheporp. Thank you very much again, Hydra, for coming on from A Cut Above. We really appreciate you making the time, and I really had a lot of fun talking about Fallen with you. So
yeah.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So thanks, guys, for joining us. We'll see you when we see you, and we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.